Andrew Briggs, speaking about seeing guys in person, like you watch his videos and he looks like a normal guy, right? Met him, dude's freaking like
A giant.
this tall and like this wide and like jacked, and it's like, holy shit, this guy's actually a giant. Like he could pick me up and rip me in half. And it's
Yeah.
like you wouldn't be able to catch that when he just films, like head. It's so hard to tell online how big people are with camera
Yeah.
angles and all that stuff till you meet them in person. It's like, wow, this guy could actually
I've
pick
even
me up
had
and throw
people
me.
email me and be like, "How tall are you?" And I'm like, "How did you get my email?" Fucking Jet, you probably get that all the time when people find out how tall you are.
Yeah,
How tall are you? I
so
can't tell.
I first talked about my height like months into my content creator journey. I was actually on I was on a Kick live stream with like this looks maxer, funny
Mm-hmm.
enough, and they asked me how tall I was, and I told them I was 6'5", and everyone was like, you're lying," and I was like, I'm actually 6'5", so I don't really care when people say that I'm
Yeah.
lying.
You're like, "What do you
And
want me
then
to
all
do,
this,
stand next to a door?" Like,
yeah, it's like what? And then eventually I went and I worked out with Alex Eubank, who's like a popular
mm,
he's a popular fitness influencer, and those pictures got out, and then everyone was like, wait, what the heck, how tall are you? And then I was recently on a podcast, and I took a picture with the host, and everyone was like, wait, what the heck, like you're actually tall? And I was like, I tried to tell you guys, you just didn't believe me. So
people don't want you to be tall. I think.
yeah.
I like. I don't know. And I think like people just kind of project their own heights. Like I remember the first time I got on the phone with Harry Miller, I made a joke about him being 6'2", about him being tall, and he was like 6'4", and I was like, oh, like you just always got to project like your own height onto people, and then when you
Yeah.
find out whatever, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, guys, welcome to the show. This is Barbarian Banter Podcast, episode 29, I believe. And today we have Mr. Jett Franzen and Patrick, also known as Sherpa Pat.
Yes, and you might recognize these two faces because they have both been on the show before. And this is the first time we've had multiple guests on at once. So this is a pretty exciting crossover episode for us all. Jett, Pat, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. It's good to be back.
Yeah. It feels nice because for the viewers that don't know, we're like all in a group chat together and we're always texting, but like now we're actually all in like one recorded format, which is dope.
We're all in that kind of transition period of our life for sure, going on our
Yes.
personal odysseys, as Pat's been talking about.
Mhm.
Really, really getting that next phase going. So it's great to have a good group of guys to be able to work with on that and just talk it out.
Yeah. I feel like Jet and Pat, you guys kind of started the group, and then like I feel like I got thrown into it, or Dane threw me in or something. How did you guys end up first connecting?
That's a funny story, man. I mean, Jett just reached out to me, dude.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
reached out, and then we hopped on like a FaceTime after that. And it was funny, man. We just clicked, dude. We were like ripping for like a good like 2 hours, man, just talking. And I got to know Jett pretty well from that call. And then from there, yeah.
Yeah, I rarely reach out to people. I'm starting to do it actually a lot more because I think I should, and it's a good opportunity. But I think I saw all three of your guys' content around the same time, and I was
You saw
like
our
one day,
podcast, all three of us.
yeah, it's like well, I reached out to Pat because I kept getting these videos and I just loved the cadence that he talked about and the topics that he talked about, and I was like, I've been seeing him for like months, and I was like, dude, why don't I reach out to him? So I reached out to him. Yeah, we hopped on a FaceTime and we were basically boys immediately. And then I
Mhm.
actually, Dane, I don't even know if you know this, but I DM'd you around the same time, but he just never like opened the DM or something.
My
And I was
bad.
trying, and I was like, trying to
I'm a
get.
notorious bad responder to text. So if you need my attention, sometimes you have to poke me multiple times.
You got to
Yeah,
pull
and
up
so
on
I
him
was like,
physically.
yeah, and I was like, dang, I need to get connected with these guys. Above all else, it's just because I feel like if content aside, if we didn't do content, if I just met you guys in person, I would naturally be more drawn to you guys. I think we have like similar interests but different in our own ways, and so yeah. Anyways, so for with me and Pat, we've been talking ever since, and I think all four of us have, like Dane was saying, we're in like a similar part in our life where we're trying to transitioning from like basic work to like trying to make this content thing work full time and have
Yeah.
similar passions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting to kind of see, like, because a guy like yourself who's got like way more sort of like Instagram or TikTok, like YouTube subscribers, just because of the way that content works and like how different styles work and different like niches and whatnot. Like you can be a guy who's huge and still be trying to figure out like, okay, like how am I going to properly monetize this? Or you can be like a fitness coach who has, 10,000 followers and he's making, six figures already.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. And it's like, I didn't get into content creation because of the career, like financial aspect. I actually got into content creation because my acting manager told me to, just because it would like look good on my resume. And then it ended up being more fun than acting. And so, but I never would have expected that it would be this kind of like of this much of a game to try and figure out how to actually like make it work as a career. There's no blueprint. There's no like path that's laid out that you're supposed to walk. Like you kind of just like you hear about these weird opportunities and you're like, yeah, cool, I'll try that. And then like you kind of like put your hand on the stove and you're like, fuck, that was a waste of time. And ultimately you find your way to the top. But yeah,
it's kind of interesting because it's a lot of freedom, right? Like it feels great. You can do whatever you want on your own time schedules, but it's almost scary in that sense because there is no structure. It's like all of the success and failure is on you. As much as a job might suck the soul out of you, you clock in, you do what you're told, you clock out, it works, right? You don't have to take much initiative as long as you're living up to the job expectations. But when you're creating content, it's like if I choose to sit and play video games all day and don't film anything and I end up homeless, it's like, well, that's my fault. There's no one I can blame. But then when you sit down and try to strategize, it's like there is no, as Jonas said, there's no blueprint. There's no, of course, there's a bunch of courses you could buy, but that's just an industry itself, is course selling.
I don't know. I feel like it's bullshit. I've tried to sort of like plan and schedule things. I actually made it like a point. It was kind of like my birthday resolution last year that I was going to get like better at planning. I was going to be more organized and I was going to like set a schedule for myself. I even downloaded this app on my phone that keeps track of like, I can put like editing, filming, scripting, meetings, admin, whatever, and then like keep track of all of my time throughout the day just so that I can like feel kind of productive. Cause like you spend so many hours on your phone and you're just like, how much of it was it like actually was I working for? And how much of it was I just like looking at reels?
It bleeds the line of work, pleasure, personal life.
Bro, I'm doing 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. Like not even trying. Like just that's just what my day is. My day is just content. All I fucking do is script and film and edit and outreach, blah blah blah, whatever. And it kind of made me realize like you can't really plan this shit. Like what would I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna write for 1 hour and then I'm gonna edit videos for like something pops up every hour that you have to do. And it's like, you can't plan for that. I don't know. It's just, it's kind of a weird game. And I'm grateful to have gotten this far because I think if I knew that it was going to be this much work, I would have never started.
It's something to build good organically. That's why sometimes people ask me like how to become a creator, or I want a bunch of subscribers, and it's like you cannot start with I want to be a creator, I want to be an influencer, right? It's like you have to have something you like to share that you're passionate about, your outlet for creativity, and that will end up being what makes you able to be a creator. But if you're just setting out, of course there's certain strategies and things. You can be controversial, for example, but if you're totally set on the numbers, you're going to be disappointed very quickly and probably end up throwing in the towel before you even take off.
It kind of brings up an interesting point. I did want to ask all three of you guys, because I was asked this question recently. Do you feel like you are more or less creative than when you like first started making content? Because obviously, like editing, all the administrative stuff, I don't think people realize how many hours like we all spend a day just trying to like filter through DMs and comments and emails and like the I don't
Bro,
know
the image sourcing
the image sourcing and
is
anything like
terrible.
it's just it takes your entire day. Like how much time do you actually spend creating? And do you feel like you're more creative now, or do you think it was better when you first started?
I would say I'm more creative now. And it's something that's kind of happened naturally along the way. It does get to a point where you have to regulate yourself a little bit. Otherwise, you just go off the rails entirely and just start doom scrolling for a little too long.
Yeah.
Um, but when I say like creative wise, I started seeing like I flipped the perspective of like, oh, I'm going to post content for work to, content creation is now a form of art for me. Like, because
Mm-hmm.
I started thinking about it deeper, and especially recently, like, this is a great question because this is something that's just been on my mind a ton as I've been driving up and down the East Coast, from like Tampa, Florida to like Shenandoah, Virginia to like Jersey. As I'm going all around here, I'm like realizing that like, I want to create the content and it's forcing me to like get all these different videos, get all like different angles and stuff and get all these different photos. And putting it all together has been a different avenue of creativity, like a different
You're kind of looking at the world differently. You're like seeing it in
exactly.
a like, how can I frame this sort of?
Yeah, and I thought about it more and I'm like, okay, well, what's the fine line between, making a film like a movie or, doing photography and then content creation? Where's the borders in that? There is none. It's whatever you want it to
It's
be.
just the medium. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like, I started to see it in a way where it's like, I want the content I create to be a little bit more artistic. And because of that, it's made me more creative in the process.
Yeah. What do you think, Jet?
Wow, that's interesting. I relate to a lot of what Pat was saying there. Because it's basically for me when I first started, what I would do is I would hit, if I had a thought, I would literally just hit record, talk about my thought, and there was like almost no editing. And when I say no editing, it was either I would put on a caption or I would just put on one on-screen text and that was it. That was like the good old days. And then I would just record
The
like
good old
12
days.
in one batch. And I kind of do that.
Wow.
That's how I started. And the ideas were, I was trying to be creative with the ideas, but the overall packaging of the content itself wasn't nearly as what it is right now. And now it's like I'm trying to be much more intentional, especially I've gone for the approach of posting less but higher quality using trial reels, stuff like that. And since I've been doing that, it's like, okay, if I'm going to actually sit down and make a video, I really want to make sure that there's a strong or a dense point that's being made here for the majority, not all the time, but
Yeah.
so in that sense, I've had to be more intentional, and I don't know if I like though. I think it's easy to sort of interchange like, oh, I'm being more intentional, so I'm more creative, and I don't think those things are necessarily true. So in total, I would say I'm around the same. But as of recently, and by recently I mean like the past month and a half, I've been scrolling reels a lot less because, like you guys were saying, I mean the tendency or just like how easy it is to scroll and be like, okay, I'm looking for some sort of inspiration that I'm going to get from another creator. And then boom, 30 minutes goes by. And now you're watching, like for me, I really like, I think I've talked about this with you guys before, but I really like FC Barcelona. And all of a sudden my feed just
Yeah.
starts changing to what I actually want like. And then I'm like, oh, I'm screwed, dude. Like I'm in a bad spot
Dude,
now.
it's tough because it's like you have to go on the app while your video is uploading. Like you have to
You
leave
have
the
to.
app open while your video is
Yeah.
uploading. So
Yes.
it's like you try to sit there and you're just like, don't look. Don't look. Just
Yeah,
wait till the
you're
video's
like,
done
don't
uploading.
scroll.
Don't scroll. Don't scroll. Maybe answer one comment, just like one comment. And now you're answering every single comment left on your video. And then you're looking at other people's videos. And then it's just this like endless train wreck. But I did want to say before Dane goes, your style of content, Jet, is kind of interesting because like you said about posting less but it being higher quality. I remember when I first started posting on TikTok, and like, when you are thinking about posting content, the algorithm knows that you're starting to create now, and it starts giving you like content creator tip videos and stuff. And
Yeah, so annoying.
I remember seeing this one where this guy or girl was basically saying like, there's two types of posters. There's creators and there's documenters. And documenters typically fare better on TikTok, and creators typically fare better on Instagram for whatever reason, right? It's just the way that it was. This was like a year and a half ago when I heard this, and I remember thinking, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm a creator. So what am I doing on TikTok? Like I need to be doing documenting style videos. So then I tried doing that, and it just like, I don't know, just didn't. I was like, I don't know if I'm providing enough value or if I have enough value to provide here. Whatever. Point is, your style of video is like, it's creative because you're talking about ideas. You're not just telling like, sometimes you're telling stories about your life, but a lot of times you're just talking about like philosophical ideas, whatever, psychology,
Yeah.
but in a documenting kind of style or format. And I think that that's what really gripped people on TikTok. I think that that's kind of what made your content is that like kind of fusion of the two styles. And it's interesting to kind of see you kind of settle into more of a creative style now.
Yeah, and to that point, and Dane, I'll let you go here. I'm sure you're eager to talk, but with me, it's like in the future, my goal is never to just, sit in my parents' basement and like keep recording these. Don't get me wrong, I'll always create short form content, but I really would like to get into like a much, much more intentional or like more well thought out. And by that I mean like short films, eventually getting involved in like actual films.
Yeah.
That's stuff that I would love to do long term. And I think like I'm kind of going through that weird arc because like initially, and here's the weird thing about TikTok is TikTok really, really rewards very short videos, like 6 to 8 second videos where people are just it's a quick like a sound bite and they say something and it
And a
kind of
little
sounds
text
good and
on
all of a sudden
screen.
you can get millions of views in like a 12-second video. And so I kind of liked that, but then it wouldn't translate on Instagram. And to be honest, I just like Instagram more. Like I use TikTok to post,
Same.
but I scroll on Instagram. That's like what I'm going to scroll on. And so yeah.
It's kind of interesting you bring up film a little bit, 'cause, and Pat, creativity, art, that kind of thing. Because I've been, as my last day of work is tomorrow, and will have already well passed by the time this is uploaded. I'm thinking,
Welcome to
on
unemployment.
one hand, I'm going to have all of this extra time to put in, but then it's kind of like, okay, what do I do, right? So I was thinking, and Jett, you mentioned the movie, because when I first started creating content, I almost never made spoken word content. I made shorts that were kind of more aesthetic or like history skits or gym skits type stuff. So that's really where I started. I just did that live stream where I reacted to some of my old content, so you can
Yeah.
cringe at that at some point. But I was kind of trying, and I'm working on this YouTube video that's taken way too long. And I was talking with my dad about it, who's a professor, film and creative writing, and I was going through the script with him, and it's like freaking 20 pages long or something ridiculous. And what he kind of helped me realize is I was a very good essay writer in school, and I kind of tend sometimes towards essay writing, but that's not what my real sauce is. My real sauce is storytelling. Storytelling, almost poetry in a sense. I'm not going to call myself a poet. It's a little pretentious, but I'm better when I'm channeling a poet or even a preacher to a degree, right? Where it's imbibing the words with a kind of beauty and not over explaining things and telling a story. Because when I look at history, it's like, yes, I'm giving you facts about historical events or cultures, but I'm really trying to tell you a story about bravery or romance or
There's a theme. Yeah.
yes, and it's so that's what I'm trying to channel more, and specifically with film. I last weekend drove out to the desert to film kind of an homage to David Lynch, one of my favorite film directors, that I'm gonna have Constantine edit. I sent him the footage, and it was like I was like channeling, almost trying to act like channel this character, kind of put together a story out in the desert. And I'm like, for one, I start to respect actors and filmmakers because I'm like, holy shit. You have to set up the freaking camera angle, then you go back to the camera and the angle's not right, the lighting isn't right. It's or like, so I appreciate the craft there, but it was like trying to create something purely aesthetic, try to tell a story without words. So
Without words, yeah.
I think to Pat's point, there is a kind of artistic vein I'm trying to bring out. I think that's when I'm at my best and what my best work taps into. And I think I want to go down that route more than like the intellectual, I'm going to argue and put out these debates and these, very over explaining type of thing. I think I'm better when I'm being more creative. So
It's freeing, man. It's very freeing to take that avenue.
and kind of like you said, as I approach these travels coming up, it's like there's so much time and space. You're going to be in cool places, seeing cool people. It's like there's so much to tap into the world. And I think there's got to be an element of like experience first. You made a video actually about this, Pat, where it's like you can't, what did you say? You can't be in, when you're on a trip or something, you can't be in nostalgia mode while you're in the trip.
That's right. You save
can
that
you
for when it's all
restate
said and
that?
done.
That was a great
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, so essentially, a lot of times, like, because I've been traveling a ton, and like, it's so easy to get wrapped up and start yearning about like an ex-girlfriend or maybe your old buddies or the way life used to be or what's going to happen in the future. And, so much times it's like, if you're in your regular schedule, yeah, it happens naturally. But when you're like out traveling and you're like ripping on the roads, or maybe you're hopping on a flight or you're going into little historic downtowns or you're at like a park, it's like be 110% immersed in that. Like be 110% present. Like you almost want to be in like no mind, like no thought. Like you don't even want to have like if you, the less dialogue in your head, the better when you're at a place like that. Cause it just like opens you up to just like kind of soak it all in, to really like just feel it. You like embrace it. It's like more of a feeling than a thought.
Yeah.
And then when it's over, and then you reflect on it maybe in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, then it's like it solidifies and it crystallizes and it becomes this like magic kind of memory. Because there was nothing disrupting that. Like when you're thinking about something from the past, or if you're being nostalgic about the past, or if you're thinking about who you used to be and where you're at now, it's like it's almost going to disrupt that process of like fully embracing it.
I think it kind of aids in the creativity too, because
Oh,
like I remember when
yeah.
I went to Greece last year, and obviously talking about like history and philosophy, I was in like the central hub of history and philosophy to like be able to make all of this content on location, right? And so I started trying to like script out all these videos of like, okay, when I visit the Acropolis, I'm going to talk about this. When I visit this, I'm going to talk about this. And like I got like 2 videos deep, and then I was just like, I feel like I'm taking myself out of it by like walking up to the thing already knowing what I'm going to shoot and already know like it kind of took the whimsy out of it. And so then
Mhm.
after like the second video, I was like, you know what? Every time I pull up somewhere, I'm just whatever I want to talk about, I'm going to hand the camera to my brother and I'm just going to riff. And those videos were so much better because it was genuinely like whatever the location I was at was making me feel. That's what I talked about instead of this pre-planned, premeditated sort of idea of what I thought being there was going to bring about, if that makes sense. Because I wasn't even enjoying it. I wasn't present. Like I went and visited the Acropolis, and like I'm at the top of this hill, and all I'm thinking about is just like that would probably be a good angle over there. There's not a lot of people. I could probably get you know what I mean? And it's like, bro, I'm not enjoying myself at all. I'm like in the coolest place in the world and I can't even enjoy it right now. I'm thinking, so all that to say, like presence will add so much to your life and also to the creativity because like the muse just visits you. Like,
Mhm.
and if you're somebody who's open to that, like it's just going to come to you. You don't really need to worry about it. And I think if I could give a piece of advice to anybody who does want to become a creator or just like a more creative person in general, I would say don't try to like force anything. Just be open to it at all times, and then it'll come to you. Like, I think about the fact that I grew up skateboarding. Sorry, my camera just went red. This went red right here. Is that still? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay, weird. I don't know why that did that. But I grew up skateboarding, and one of the things that's like kind of a common joke is that like when you start skating, you start seeing every single thing as you drive down the street as a skate spot, whether it's a curb or a ledge, or like it might literally just be a loading dock to you. But I'm like, oh, that's a gap. You know what I mean? You start to see the world a little bit more creatively. I think that when you're open to the idea of content or like turning things into video essays or whatever, every single thing that you watch, every book that you read, every interaction that you have with a person, you're like, oh, I could like spin this into something. And you don't have to premeditate it, it just comes to you.
I think that's a really good point with books, especially, and kind of just like when you're a creator, right? Anything can become part of your art project, if
Yeah.
in a sense. But if you start treating things like assignments,
Yes.
then it's counterintuitive. It kind of destroys, like, that's kind of the trouble I was having with some of the books I've been reading lately, where it's like I'm in like, okay, I know I need to turn this into videos, like I need to make notes of these
What's
pages
the
so
angle?
I can
Yeah.
what's the angle, what quotes do I need to save so that I can reference it. And then I picked up this book as like a purely fun book. This
Fun
is
read.
Cross the Stars, like before bed to turn my brain off. Not gonna make any content about it, just a sci-fi tale to, have fun with. And I had a lot of fun with it. And then I made a pretty good video about it because it's a retelling of the Odyssey and it happened to be timely. But it's like I didn't read the book with any of those intentions. And it naturally sprung out. And I got to think, putting on a movie, I shouldn't be watching the movie to make a video about it. I should enjoy the film. That's why when I just talked about Excalibur, that video did very well. I didn't watch that movie because I wanted to make content about it. I watched it before I was a content creator. I just love it so much that the passion was there, and that'll spring out of you. And even if you're not a creator, like when I went to Iceland after college for my trip, I had to catch myself sometimes because it was supposed to be, like the graduation kind of find yourself type trip, right? And sometimes I'd get in this mode where I'm like, okay, I'm here. I got to make the best use of my time. I gotta really connect with myself. And it's like I had to like step back and be like, go for the experiences that call to you, and that is how I'm gonna get value out of this trip. And those were the best parts, when I could just turn off and immerse myself in the moment, as Pat said. Instead of trying to approach it from the other angle. So that authenticity and putting the experience ahead of the cognition, I think's the key.
And to really tie this into another thing, Dane, you're saying like you're making this film, and I'm really stoked to see that. Like I'm really excited to see that. Like I
Filmed is a
love
bit of an
that idea.
exaggeration. It's gonna be like a minute long, I'm sure.
But again, because I've been thinking a lot too. It's like when you're like a content creator, right? It's like you become the actor, the director, the all the technical stuff, the camera guy, like everything. You're
Prop
everything. That's
guy.
like the prop guy, everything. And as I've been taking more and more pictures and I've been getting like a little bit more into photography and stuff, I started seeing it. It's like almost like I become a prop, right? Like you become like an action figure in your own little film. And then I feel like with that mentality and seeing it that way when you're trying to make content out in the world as you're documenting your life or trying to create stuff, it's like when you have that approach, it's like it just starts to happen so much more naturally, and you capture that authenticity perfectly, because like you're just letting it happen. You're not forcing it. It's like trying to tame a cat, like, or a stray cat. It's like you're gonna run up, hey, what's going on? You're gonna run away. But like if you come up and rub your fingers a little bit, it's like they'll come up, and it happens. You gotta be
Yeah.
a little more
Yeah, you
relaxed.
gotta have that tact. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is kind of like taming a cat, or even, gosh, it's even sometimes like talking to a girl, right? It's like if you're
Yeah.
sitting there worried, like I gotta say the perfect thing and like come in with the right pickup line and then you go and it's a mess. But if you just like act in the moment, it goes so much more smoothly. There's forcing things basically never works, and no matter what you're doing.
Yeah. And like having all of your focus in the external realm rather the like in the internal realm, like again for like socialization, dating, everything of that nature, like the more like you have the spotlight on yourself, the more you're just going to be overthinking and overanalyzing. But the more you're focused about what's going on around you, not even just like what the people, what someone else is saying, whatever, whoever's sitting across from you, but like what's the weather like? What's that bird doing in the tree? You know, how's the architecture looking at building across from the street? Like the more you just put all of your focus and attention into the external realm, the more rewarding and rich your experiences will be when you're out there kind of traveling and going on your own personal odyssey.
That's kind of brings me into a question I wanted to ask each of you, um, which is in this next however long phase of each of your lives, what's like a skill you would like to develop that's not at all necessarily content creation related, be it like some kind of sport or creative endeavor, whatever the case may be, something it can be as silly as like cooking, right? I was just curious what you guys might have on the docket in terms of life outside the camera.
It's a good question. I've been wanting to really get back into like some sort of martial arts because I did jujitsu for a few years, and I always liked the idea of kind of like your training being for a purpose. And I just feel like just going to the gym for the sake of being good at going to the gym, it's cool, but it just like has never really like sat right with me. I've always thought like humans should be striving towards physical excellence for the pursuit of some sport or skill. And I feel like I have not really been doing that lately. So I don't know. I kind of want to get into like Muay Thai or like some sort of striking martial art.
Muay Thai is excellent.
Yeah.
It's very. I'm kind of in the same boat there, honestly. As you said, going to the gym for the sake of going to the gym, you look good, you feel good. It's great for the mind, body, and spirit, but it can feel a little
Yeah.
almost like a box sometimes when you're not pursuing it for something higher or making something more out of it. It's a good one.
Exactly.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
On the spotlight, man.
Because I got a few, man. I'm telling you, dude. I have a bad habit of having a ton of stuff I should and want to do. And to kind of go right off of the gym thing, it's like that's why I started running, dude. Because the gym just it wasn't enough. I wasn't getting my fix off it. But naturally, as we are as humans, you know, it's like now I'm in the same spot. Just now I'm lifting and running. So now I need something else physically to kind of scratch that itch, you know. And my mind's been in so much different places with like what my next endeavor is going to be. Um, and there's one movie that I watched that really inspired me, and it's called Point Break, right?
Oh, good
And
movie.
I like favorite movie of all time. It just rips. It's a tremendous movie. But in that movie, there's a lot of surfing, right? And I like everywhere I go, I my hair keeps getting longer, and everyone's always like, "Dude, do you surf, man? Are you a surfer, man? Like surfs up and stuff like."
You
And I'm
got the
like,
whole surfer vibe going on, even your background.
and it throws people off. Like I've had to just start like beating around the bush and being like talking like Yoda to them. Like maybe I do surf, maybe I don't. Who knows? Like just so I don't directly say like, "Hey, man, I don't surf." And I longboard, like I'm really good on a longboard. So it's like, you know, and I can ski as well. Like I'm a good skier. So I can ski, I can longboard. So it's like I can transmit that over. So because of Point Break, I've been wanting to surf. But then on the other side of me, on the other shoulder, it's about music and like picking up a guitar. Because I
That's what I
listen
want to
to
learn the
so
guitar too.
much music, man. And like I get so like I'm at a point where I become such like a music snob. Like I'm so pretentious about it. Like I make a lot of content about music, and like I love music so much. Like I have such a passion for like listening to so much different genres. And I'm like I feel like I'm like you can't like Kurt Cobain said like you can't like the people that love music the most create it, right? Like you got to step over that line and start getting into it. So one side of me is like pick up a surfboard, make everyone happy, or pick up a guitar, also rocker this and that, man. Start learning how to do music because I love it so much. And then in like the on like the top of the triangle, it's also just creating more art and getting into that avenue, like of just like maybe even like sculpting or doing stuff like woodwork or painting or drawing like there's so much things I'm so inspired to do because in my travels I see art everywhere, whether I'm listening to it, whether I can see it, whether I'm in like a little coffee shop and I see someone's personal painting and I'm like, that's awesome. I would love to get into that. Or if it's something like more physical, like surfing, where the whole body's involved, right? Because there's like two different avenues of things that you can really do. It's like the physical realm and the creative realm. Like playing guitar or doing more jujitsu. It's kind of like that. And like if you could distribute your energy that you have in a day, because you only have so much energy in a day to balance them out and make progress in both, you're hitting the nail on the head. But that's easier said than done. You only have so much energy in a day. And it's like you're still hitting the gym, you're still creating content. It's like last thing you want to do is have like, 100 things that you started and didn't do. But our thing that you don't want to do is start nothing because you think you have no time for it. So it's a lengthy answer to that
Yeah.
question, man. But to summarize it, man, in the next 6 months, I'm either going to be surfing, playing a guitar, or painting something. Man.
When you truly sorry guys, my setup's brand new. I'm still trying to
Jonas
figure
has
it all
got
out
a
right now.
poltergeist in his room.
I know, seriously,
banging
this is
things
all fucked
around.
up. I was gonna say though, when you have like a creative pursuit that you genuinely love, though, like I don't think it takes away from any of those things. Like it only adds, it only charges you up because like I now that I'm in my new place, like I have space for my drums, which like I've been playing the drums since I was 15 years old. Like it's one of my favorite things to do. I was in bands for years. I love playing music, and I want to learn the guitar for that reason. But like not having my drums on me, it hasn't it hasn't given me more time over the years. Like I guess technically, but I'm still feeling that like creative time with other things. Whereas like before, I would just fill it with drumming, and it wouldn't detract from my ability to still like go to the gym or pick up a new hobby or like create videos or something. Like it only really adds to it if it's something that you truly love. If it's not work.
Yeah.
I think those are all good points. I mean, I think in general, the goal for a lot of people, certainly myself, is to be a polymath. And I think like everyone's so obsessed with the Renaissance man and like how that era of history, like how do we have Leonardo da Vinci's of the world? Like
Yeah.
how is that even possible? And kind of to your point, Jonas, it's weird how when you're good at one thing, that momentum builds and it gives you confidence in other aspects of your life. Like I remember when I was in high school, there was this guy who I played baseball and basketball when I was in high school, and there was this one kid who played soccer, but then he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try and do, and he was really good at soccer, and he's like, you know what, I'm just gonna try and do basketball, and he was immediately like the best, if not the second best out of all of us. And he had never, and I had been like doing it just like recreationally for my whole life. And I was like, yeah, it's so aggravating. But you kind of realize it's just a mentality thing. Like the way that you carry yourself and the attitude you have carries over in all aspects of life, truly. But to answer your question, Dane, for me, probably the biggest skill, and people might not think this is a skill, but I do. I think like traveling and learning how to travel and make the most out of experiences and, meet people and stuff like that. That's probably the biggest thing that I'm trying to focus on in the, sort of immediate future of my life here. And then second to that is I'm a very introverted person by nature, and I'm sort of like I could easily just spend a week alone and not really talk to other people and sort of be content with that or comfortable with that. So I'm trying to force myself to go out of my comfort zone and try to talk to people more and try to get involved. And that's a big part of that has honestly been reaching out on social media, but with the intent of, eventually establishing a friendship. Me and Pat are going to be going on our own excursion here soon. And so it's like, I'm just like really excited for the social and experience, like to gain those things. Is I think there's a lot of skills that are involved with that. So that's kind of like in the near future what I'm focused on.
Are you guys keeping it under wraps, or can you give us a teaser of what you're doing?
we're gonna be going on some kind of like American tour, man. We're gonna be bouncing
Nice.
around. I told Jet this. I definitely want to give Jet a good Jersey tour too. I want to show him all the good spots around there. But to be honest, there's not a huge plan because we're just kind of gonna go out on our own Odyssey and let the roads take us, man. Go with the
Yeah.
flow kind of
Going to do
situation.
it.
Dude,
Yeah,
travel is genuinely a skill. It's like
it is.
it's hard to
Oh,
do.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, dude, if you're not on top of time and like when you got to be somewhere or this or that, it's
It's
like
not
you'll be
vacationing.
missing out.
There is a
It's
big difference between
it's
travel
not.
and
No,
vacation.
it's
Yeah.
not.
When we went to Greece, like it was me and my brother and my cousin, and then Chloe, my girlfriend, wanted to kind of come with us at the last minute. But then like her thing was like she wanted to vacation and we wanted to travel, and our
Yeah.
itineraries were so different that we ended up like meeting halfway through the trip to kind of like coordinate things. Long story, but like it is such a difference, and it's the reason why kind of like the stupid tourist who like gets in everybody's way sort of thing is like a real thing, because it's hard to navigate yourself in
Mhm.
unfamiliar places.
I kind of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like over the past like month or so, I think I traveled like every weekend to a different city, and that was mainly just for like content and work and stuff. But it's both challenging and fun, and it's like every time I go, it's like okay, if I just have the weekend to do this, I need to maximize what I'm doing. So like last weekend, I was in Charleston. And I met all these people, and I did everything that like you could really fill up the time with, like
Mm.
between going to the beach to going to some popular like tourist spots, like getting good food, the nightlife, just like everything, trying to compact that all into one trip. And then it was like there was, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was sleeping at an airport 5 out of the 7 days of the week because I was just like I was like doing different podcasts and stuff, and I was like I don't want to buy a hotel, I'm kind of balling on a budget here, and I would just sleep. I'm sleeping at like LAX, I'm sleeping in Austin, I'm just kind of in these places, and you kind of laugh because you're like this is it, this is the Odyssey, man. That
Yeah.
you got to appreciate it for what it is, like. And I've been really fortunate to work on developing a better overall mindset and attitude where you're like the crappy stuff is actually what makes this amazing.
It's
The
the good
fact that
stuff.
I'm
It's
gonna
the
have
level 3 fun.
yeah, it's a level 3 fun,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like you have to go and walk those 3 miles to like find something. It's like I'm not gonna sit here and like Uber, like I got to
Yeah.
figure it out on my own, and
Yeah.
that's the stuff that makes it so fun. But I'm sure, yeah, me and Pat will make our way down in Florida and probably connect with you
Yeah.
guys as well. So, but like Pat said, I mean, bro, the road is open. We're gonna take us where the wind blows us, and that's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah, kind of funny you talk about sleeping in an airport. I Last year I had a work trip to Detroit, and it's like, who the fuck wants to go to Detroit? Sorry to any Detroit. I have good things to say, but when I got the assignment, it was like okay, I'm going to. It was like the boonies of Detroit. Nothing to do there. I was like, okay, this is purely for work, right? And it ended up being kind of a little mini Odyssey. At the
Mhm.
hotel I was staying at, they threw some huge like wedding party, so I couldn't sleep, and I was kind of pissed. And I had a rental car to take down to the airport, and I eventually just left. But then some of the guys stopped me and were like, "Hey man, like, want a drink? It's our wedding, you know." And I was like, "I'm on work, I've got an early flight, all this stuff." But I was less pissed because I was like, "Okay, wait, there's actually people like doing stuff out here in the middle of nowhere." I drove down to Detroit. It was like an hour and a half drive to the main city. I'm sleep deprived. It's like 2 in the morning, and just like the lights and the sights, it was almost like surreal. And then
Yeah.
at the airport, I couldn't fall asleep. There was this like homeless guy like doing stuff by me. As I was trying to like sleep, I had like a towel over my face. But it sucked. But it was also like very enriching in a sense. And I look back on it and I'm like, that was a fun trip. I'm glad I went to Detroit.
Mhm.
That's honestly a more nourishing trip than like some of the vacations I've been on. And Jonas, that's a
Dude.
great point.
Yeah.
Vacation versus travel. There's nothing wrong with taking a vacation, But
No, it's
it's
good.
like the main thing of a vacation. It's like, yeah, go have fun with your friends and drink, but you can do that at home.
Anywhere. Yeah, exactly. You're just
There's
like
nothing the
chilling and
travel
drinking in
really
a
adds.
new location.
Yeah, yeah, a little new scenery, but travel itself can be a much deeper experience.
Yeah.
Well, I have.
No, you're good.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Okay,
you're all
I
good.
have some questions. I wrote these down, so I'm going to be reading off it, but it's like personal to each of you guys. So I'm just
Okay, sweet.
I wanted to like
We
wanna,
also
like,
have lots of
personal.
questions from the audience too, so we can make this like a big question
Okay.
episode.
All right, Jonas, I'll start with you.
All right.
What is your favorite time period and civilization to have ever existed, and why?
I probably have given this away a little bit just in our conversations, but like I got into history and mythology through watching Clash of the Titans with my dad when I was younger. So like Greek myth and history has always interested me the most. Initially because of the aesthetic, and then later on just because of like when you learn about like are you guys familiar with the term the axial age?
I'm not, man. No.
So the axial age is this time that occurred right around the rise of sort of classical Greek civilization. You had like um, Confucius in China around the same time as like Socrates in Greece, and like Buddhism was really big. There's just like all these things where it's like all these sort of big philosophies that would end up shaping the Western and Eastern worlds respectively came about at the same time. There was just this like boom in revolution of human thought, and it obviously changed so much for civilization. And I think that sort of explosion of culture is sort of the thing that like when we think about the ancient past is what we're really thinking about, um because history kind of follows these cycles. And before I get too far ahead of myself, I'll just say that like ancient Greece is probably the most interesting to me because it shaped what would become sort of like Western culture in a very different way. Like Western culture is not ancient Greek culture, but it's like born off of the back of it, if that makes sense, because Rome comes after, and then the Holy Roman Empire, and then European Christendom, and so on and so forth. And the beginning of it all being sort of ancient classical Greece is like the most just kind of exciting and also confusing to me.
Certainly one of the most covered, or the most like has the most attention in modern day media, I
Yeah,
think.
exactly, and
Also
that's why
means
it
it's
kind
the
of is
most
like a
misunderstood.
yes, but see that's why I kind of like it so much is because it's like one of those things. It's like it's so well documented that it's become like commercialized and perverted in a way where it's like not even actually the real thing. And when you learn about actual ancient Greek civilization, like it's a lot different than what you probably think it is if you're just sort of like the commercial viewer. Uh, I hope that that doesn't sound too pretentious, but yeah, it's like I don't know, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's certainly an interesting part of history as someone who's more particularly interested in philosophy than history itself. I
Yeah.
think I definitely understand there. Pat, what is the abominable human spirit and how can someone acquire it?
Oh man, what a dude. That's a crazy question, man. Um. Oh God. I would say something we all have. Okay, we'll start there. Something that we all have deep instilled into us, right? Um. I think it really boils down to just having some wicked endurance. It's like being an unstoppable force or an immovable object, and when it comes down to like making your dreams come true. And the coolest part about the indomitable human spirit is the fact that it's like there's so much different versions of it, there's so much different stories about it, whether it's real or mythology. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like the indomitable human spirit, man. It's all throughout history. It's there and it's still here right now. It's something that we all share as human beings. Your favorite heroes, like I would say like Achilles had the indomitable human spirit. I would argue that. And it's like whether it's someone in fiction or whether it's someone in real life. It's like, your favorite sports player. Or I like David Goggins has the indomitable human spirit, another guy too. Um, it's knowing that like we all have it in us and we can all tap into it when we're really ready to give it everything we got. Um, and it's something that I don't think people like a lot of people go to the grave without ever truly experiencing it too. And I think it's a modern tragedy because I think it's something that everyone should feel at least once in their life to truly persevere, to truly go beyond other people doubting you, to go beyond your own personal doubts, to go beyond every single setback, to go beyond the point where you feel like your face is flat on the floor and you've hit rock bottom, like when all the odds are stacked up against you, and it's like you still show up the next day, you still show up, you still put on your clothes, you go do what you got to do for the day. It's like to experience that. And it's not just a movie, man, either. It's not like Rocky where it's like a 15-minute montage. It's like do that for like months on end, do that for years. The people that it takes them 10 years to launch off with their content creation, or the people that it takes them 10 years to make a single dollar on their business. It's like or the people that maybe, I don't know, are raising a kid or something like that. Like it doesn't, it's not exclusive to one situation. But to truly persevere in the pursuit of making your dreams come true. I think that's the indomitable human spirit, to kind of answer your question there.
I love that, dude. I love that. And when we are on the phone, sometimes I talk about it too.
Yes, you do, man. Well, and you're also living proof of it too, because there's a lot of cornballs out there that love throwing tomatoes at you, man. A lot of jealous people and stuff like that. Like honestly, like out of everyone here, you get the most hate on the internet, dude. There's so much people that literally all their accounts are just built off of hating on you.
Yeah,
Like that's
that's
how
so true.
I will say,
Yeah.
the first thing
Yeah.
I ever saw of Jet was hate videos.
Yeah.
I saw that before I ever saw his content on its
That's
own.
how I came across your content too, is from that one guy who like stitched you. And I had not actually like seen much of your content. Like I'd seen your face floating around. But then I saw that guy stitch you, and so I only had like a 3 to 5 second version of who you were, and I was answering what this guy said about you. But in what he said about you, I was also like agreeing with you. I was like, well, I didn't see the rest of your video, but I was like, wait a second, like I do think that this guy has a point, And then you ended up seeing the video, and I think that that's how we like ultimately connected for the first time. That was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, yeah, I get hate on it a lot on the internet, but it's like, dude, this is what I would give advice to people, even when you're just getting hated on by like friends or like your family or whatever. It's if you are not sure of yourself and your own identity, it will be filled in by people around you, and that will almost always be negative because the people around you will love and support you until you're doing just as good or better than them, and then they don't like you. And this is even true with like your blood, your family members. This is even true with that. The only exception is really going to be your father, I think. But yeah, people don't want you doing better than them. And so if you are really just sure in your identity and who you are, like you're like, oh, whatever, and that's how you just keep pushing. But yeah, sort of moving on to Dane here. Do you think the fantasy genre, so including like novels, movies, music, everything of the fantasy culture, do you think it has more to teach than traditional self-help?
You mean self-help in like the self-help sphere kind of sense,
Yeah,
self-help
exactly.
books, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes, because I think ultimately storytelling is a more powerful tool. It's not to say that there aren't self-help books and self-help content that isn't helpful. And sometimes, I mean, we all have done self-help type of stuff, right? But at the end of the day, and I read a lot of these books in college, right? Being a business major, where it was like, a very, I don't want to say mercenary view of human relationships and things, but it's like very kind of like commercialized in a sense where it's like, okay, it's like what's that book, How to Win Friends and Influence
How to
People,
win
or
friends
how
and
Yeah.
influence people. Yep.
yeah, it's stuff like that where it's like it takes kind of the irrational human element out a little bit by making it so mundane where it's like transactions, right? And that I'm not saying that's not helpful or that it's not useful or anything, but at the end of the day, when you're trying to tap into the indomitable human spirit, are you going to go back to that self-help book, or are you going to imagine Achilles? And what really gets the fire in your heart going? When I'm having
or
a
what's
tough
gonna
workout,
stick.
yes, when I'm having a tough workout or going through a hard moment, I'm thinking about like in Frodo carrying the ring to Mordor and Boromir fighting, giving his life, protecting the hobbits, and Aragorn becoming the king. I'm not thinking about um, fucking some business book I read where it was like how to manage negative thoughts.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's not space for that, but I think fantasy and that you can really include there. People might nitpick the distinctions between sci-fi and fantasy, where sci-fi is more focused on technology in the future in that sense, and there's some overlap. Like Star Wars is really more of a fantasy story than it is a sci-fi story, technically. So I'm really talking about fiction here in general. But fiction is such an important medium for imparting wisdom and passion into people. And I think it'll always be more effective than trying to give it to them. It's like eating a fruit versus taking a pill, a nutrient pill. I think people are always going to go for the fruit. The fruit's going to taste better and you're going to like it more, and it's gonna work in your body better than the pills. So I
Yep.
think fantasy, and people make fun of fantasy sometimes as being childish, right? And that's why Tolkien wrote the Lord of the Rings the way he did. He's the one who made fantasy kind of a take me serious genre by imbibing it with myth and Catholic ideals and in history. So I absolutely think on the greater scheme of things, it's going to be more powerful than any kind of self help. And self help in this sense, the commercial sense, is a very modern thing. People have always philosophized, of course, but self help gurus, that kind of whole optimization crowd, it's a pretty modern thing and it might be more of
Yeah.
a flash in the pan. But there's going to be people talking about Achilles and Hector in Odysseus 200 years from now. I don't know if that's going to be the same for Dale Carnegie, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, see,
Well,
that's the thing is like, if you can tell a story through fiction, it's just going to stick better because we remember stories. Like human beings operate based off of stories. We identify based off of the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves. Like we just operate off of stories constantly. Um, and so if you can, that's why I like C.S. Lewis so much, because he packs philosophy and theology into fiction story format. And so it's like you can learn everything you want about his philosophy through just reading his fictional stories. And I feel like self help is almost kind of like taking philosophy a notch lower, where it's like instead of working in the world of ideas, you're working in the material world. So it's like you've gone from fiction storytelling down to the world of ideas with philosophy, down to the world of materiality with self help. Does that make sense?
It's kind of like
100.
Dr. Oz in the Green Curtain or whatever, right? In the Wizard of Oz, it's like you
Yeah.
pull back the curtain and you see the guy in the machine, and it's just like
It's not
all of
as
a sudden
cool.
his lessons and everything, it just doesn't hit the same, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. And Jonas, I liked how you were talking about C.S. Lewis because even he, I don't know if it was in interviews or whatnot, but I did read an article a few months back where it basically explained the reason behind C.S. Lewis writing Narnia, and he said he like wanted a sort of children's story, kind of like what you were saying, Dane, with Tolkien, where it's like that's actually the best form of storytelling, and really for people to, like you guys are saying, for something to stick or for them to remember something, it's like you need a story because I don't remember any of the stuff that I learned in my anatomy class when we were in high school because there was no storytelling behind it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a bicep, that's a femur, whatever. But you remember the stories just like in your life, you remember those moments that like really made you feel something deeply. And that feeling is almost like spiritual. It's not materialistic at all. So
Hmm.
I think that relates in a way with self-help. Like self-help, you feel like you're getting lectured. I didn't like when my teachers would lecture me in school and just straight up speak to me like this is a fact, this is a fact. I liked when there was something to it. I liked when, I felt like there was an underdog or there was a character that was taking on some sort of psychological turmoil and has to figure things out and it's ambiguous and there, you know what I mean? That's the type of stuff that sticks with us. And yeah, Dan, you're absolutely right. It's like people will remember Achilles and Hector, they'll remember Odysseus hundreds of years from now. It's going to be the storytelling of Virgil. It's going to be the storytelling of Homer, of all the great writers throughout history that will stand the test of time. And I actually just my very first Substack post, I started Substack 2 days ago, but I said the issue with modern literature is that the authors basically spoon feed you the message through obvious absolute character work. You're not questioning. Too. Yeah, you're not questioning, oh, is this person a good person? Is this person a bad person? There's no ambiguity. It's literally just within the first 30 pages of a book or within the first 20 minutes of a movie, you're like, oh, I know I'm going to like this person all the way through. There's not going to be any like deeper character work. And I think that sort of relates to what we're talking about here.
And quick sidebar before, so I think that's a really fascinating point with storytelling, kind of a degeneration. You brought up teachers as well. The best teacher I ever had was the best storyteller. He knew how to take the subject and make it a story and put us in the story. He was a history and psychology teacher. When we do like psychology, he would like have us do experiments like to each other and ourselves in the classroom. And it's like, even if you don't really care about psychology, you remember, your friend's hand when they did this like ice trick with ice water. But I remember like us going to do that and people freaking out and whatever. And then with history, he would like have us come up and like experience history a little bit for ourselves and try to put ourselves in that shoes. And he knew how to make it people who didn't give a shit about history. He knew it wasn't dates and names that ultimately mattered. It was
stories,
the human stories that brought it to life. And everyone in that class, even the most uninterested person, loved him because he was just he got everyone involved, right? And then good point, I think.
Give him a shout. What's his name?
Mr. Corson is his name. I don't know if he still teaches at the school that I attended in high school, but great man. He kind of, if you've ever watched Breaking Bad, and Hank Schrader.
Yes.
Walt's brother-in-law, the DEA agent. He kind of looks and sounds like him.
Oh, okay.
So imagine Hank Schrader giving you a lesson about like Sigmund Freud and ancient Greece.
I love it. That sounds like a fucking afternoon for me. That sounds awesome.
Great man, though. If he's still teaching, he's still changing lives, I'm sure. But Jett, you make a really good point with movies because, like, Jonas and I just talked about the Odyssey, and there was a lot of moments where it was like, you might as well have had the characters like screaming to you what's going on.
Or like,
and then I saw the
camera and just say the thing.
Yeah. Yes, and it's like I would see people react to it online and be like, "Oh my gosh!" When I realized this, it blew my mind. And I'm like, not to sound pretentious, but it's like it was almost so obvious as to be painful. There was no tact, there was no subtlety. It was just forced into your brain, and it's for a generation, of course, that we cannot focus for more than 20 seconds. We're always on our...
One of my followers on TikTok has been tagging me in them since we had that podcast. He tagged me in this one here. I'll read it to you guys. It says, "The blood wipe on the sword when Trojans stabbed the horse. Insane attention to detail. Nolan doesn't miss." Like when they wipe the blood off the sword. And he just tagged me in another one. Let's see what it says. Underrated Odyssey scene I see no one mentioning. When Telemachus says prison, what kind of prison could hold a man like that? and it immediately cuts to Odysseus on the island with Calypso, and the branches of the shelter look like prison bars.
It's, and I
103,000 likes, and the other one has 190,000 likes.
That's crazy.
And it's just like we have lost, and I'm probably guilty of it too, because I'm sitting here watching a bunch of TikToks, right? I caught myself, I was watching a movie the other night, and I like opened my phone to like answer something on Twitter, and then I'm like, wait, I just missed 5 minutes of my fucking movie. Put my phone away, right? It's but modern audiences cannot handle nuance and subtlety and ambiguity. They have to be repeated information over the course of a film because they're going to be on their phones. They're not going to be paying attention. They're going to miss things. It's we almost have to rebuild storytelling from the ground up, in a sense.
Quick shout out to Cunnington. He's the dude who has been tagging me in these. I appreciate it, bro. Keep them coming.
Do not tag me in those, please, because I will just start getting pissed off. And I don't need any extra cortisol in my life for right now.
Yeah, no, sick. Fuck. Yeah, media literacy is like, it's weird. I heard this thing the other day where they said that Gen Z is the most media literate generation because we've just like grown up with the media. And I think that what they're talking about is in terms of like when we watch the news, we immediately go, okay, that's probably bullshit, right? Like we just know the news is fake now. We know that stories are manufactured. We know that you can't really like trust journalism, and there's obviously like all these different narratives being controlled all the time. So I think that that's what they mean. But I don't know it's got to be a different word than media literacy. What is it like when you watch a movie or you read a book and then you lack the ability to absorb nuance or like recognize, I don't know, something like the siren song. The example that we gave in the last episode was about how during the siren song scene, the sailor's ears get plugged and then like the music also quiets as though you are there and you also can't hear the song. And some guy made a TikTok. He's like, Nolan did that so that we would also wonder what the song was. And it's like, yeah, holy fucking shit, guys. Like, why is that I don't know. That shouldn't impress you. Like, it should be something where you're like, yeah, like that's a good move, but it's like, that's the correct move. That's the obvious move. Yeah. If that's blowing your mind, it's like, I can see why when you make a video where you connect more than 3 thoughts, people are like, it's not that deep, bro. And it's like, yeah, you can't fathom anything being deeper than what you can immediately see.
Well, and then you see people interact with a movie or something that actually is a little bit more complex in its craft, maybe an older movie or whatever. And it's like they have such a hard time processing it, or they come to some like ridiculous conclusions that just don't grasp the subtlety of what's going on the screen, and it's very unfortunate. And this is something I've been working on the script forever. I promise it'll be out by the time this video drops, or at least in editing. But I actually enjoyed some of the past movies I just saw, Obsession, The Backrooms, and Masters of the Universe, because I thought they actually had some of that subtle craft. But people completely fucking missed it. I see the discourse around some of these movies and I'm just like, I don't even want to interact with you people like who are turning it into these like ridiculous. There's so much that are missing out on it. I'm not saying that there isn't some element in truth in what they're talking about, but it's not the whole creative picture. We've lost that ability to.
Well, no, of course they're right. What they're saying is correct. Like, yes, it is attention to detail that when the Trojan soldier stabs the horse and accidentally nicks a guy, Odysseus needs to wipe the blood off the sword so they don't know there's dudes in there. That's like it's like if you were to make a movie that's honest and like good, you have to do that. That's not like a move that he pulled. It's just it's a scene, you know? But it's like, it's those sorts of things that because like Netflix and all of these other streaming platforms, like, I don't know how much, like I have not been able to watch a show that's come out within the last 10 years because the dialogue is so boring, because it has to be boring in order for people to watch it. And I'm guilty of this myself. I'm an actor. I was working on stuff in LA for years. And I was doing these, they call them verticals. We call them verticals. And it's just the, 5-minute webisodes sort of that are verticals. So people watch them on the shorts apps and stuff. And the dialogue is just the most abominable thing you've ever heard in your life, because they know that people only have the attention span of a TikTok video. So they have to feed you the entire plot through the dialogue. You don't have time to watch a guy walk down a hallway and then stop and listen to something. And then you're did he hear that or not? It's they just tell you everything. You know what I mean? And everything is kind of devolving down that path. And I have a bad feeling about what it's going to do to our just, I don't know, creative intuition as human beings.
I'll add one more thing, and then I'll let you go, Jett. When I did that Excalibur video about the armor, and I connected it to classical Greco-Roman armor and stuff, the film never tells you any of that. You can watch the film and not know, or it doesn't point out, more than it doesn't go, I will be just like antiquity or something like that. But the intricacies, when you pick up on them, it makes something that much more, it works on a subconscious level. And I think that is what we're losing. All right, Jett.
Subconscious.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that there's some director, I don't remember which one, but it was one of the biggest directors in the world, who has a quote where he says, the best stories use visualization and images, the actual actions the characters are doing, as much as possible, and dialogue as little as possible. And so that kind of the concept is you want to be able to share with the audience your message without a human, an actor, needing to verbalize it. And I don't know, I've always been drawn to movies that have lesser dialogue. I've always been drawn to movies where the message isn't so clear, where you go on to YouTube right after and you're what was the actual meaning of this? I'll give you an example. One of my favorite movies ever is Donnie Darko. In Donnie Darko, the storyline is easy to follow, but the message of the movie isn't really clear. Is it is it about love, sacrifice? What exactly is it about? And you go online and you watch the ending explained of Donnie Darko, and it's even the commentators, they're by the way, the director of this movie said that there is no objective meaning, and this is heavily debated what the meaning is. And I was wow, I'm so drawn to that movie, and I just really like that stuff, and I think that's missing. But another point I want to make is, you see people, they're kind of the pretentious people that are on the opposite side of that, because normally what happens is it creates a two faction. You have people that are super brain dead and need everything fed to them, and other people that say that everything is obvious even when it's not obvious.
Yeah,
and
that counter.
Yeah, and it's I get this all the time on my videos where people will be oh, that's such the obvious thing. There was a video, it was one of the first YouTube videos I ever made. And I tell the video, only a slave quantifies his existence through productivity. And it's funny because I saw a video of a guy who's hating on me, and he said that quote, and he's oh, never heard that before. And it's actually, if you go on the internet and you look up only a slave quantifies itself through productivity, every single, Twitter, for example, every single tweet or video that's ever been made about that ever has come after I made the video. So literally it did not exist before I made that video. And it's
I've seen a screen clip of that video title with you.
Exactly. It's so funny because it's the people, they think, it's so easy. What is it? Survivor or spectator bias. You think you would have done the same thing. So it's these people, they'll listen to someone say something and then they'll be oh, I hate Jett. I don't think Jett's that smart. I thought the same thing. But then it's but that never existed in reality. And by the way, I'm not saying I'm some super smart guy or whatever, but I thought that was a funny example, because if you go on the internet and search up that quote, and in every single tweet, everything will come after the date that I first posted that video. But then everyone thinks oh, never heard that before. It's okay, bro. We get you're so smart.
They've seen it everywhere now because everybody started tweeting and making videos about it now. And so
exactly.
It's if it's in the cultural sphere, then people are just gonna think that it's washed out. Yeah, that's always kind of one of the most frustrating things. When I've been talking about I made my Odyssey breakdown a month, not a month, Jesus. I made my Odyssey breakdown one day after the movie came out. I went and saw the movie on opening day. I went home. In the car ride, I was talking about it with my girl. I made some notes. I was like staying up till 2 a.m. just writing shorts about it. And I was going to film them the next day. And I filmed the first one, and it was so long that I was like, let me just sit down for 2 hours and write a YouTube video. And I did. And then I filmed it, and then I uploaded it the next day, 2 days later. And people kind of thought that like I was really, really reaching in my first video. And then like 2 or 3 other really big sort of historical, philosophical, symbolic, like YouTube accounts, like Jonathan Pajau being one of them, made a video after my video. I'm sure he was not inspired by me. I don't think he saw my video, but he said ultimately the same thing that I was kind of saying. And since then, I have not received one message from somebody saying that I'm reaching, because it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's commonly understood now that that's like what was going on, you know?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
trailblazer
Well,
Yeah.
always gets the crap.
You know, when I did the first podcast with you guys, you asked like, "What's the best quote?" And then after we finished filming, I was like, I thought of the best one, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Teddy Roosevelt's "The Man in the Arena" quote, but
My friend Zach Shankin, he's got a podcast called Vitruvian, and his podcast, the opening segment is that quote over music. So good.
It's such a good quote, and I'm paraphrasing because it's really long here, but Teddy Roosevelt basically says like all the credit goes to the man in the arena, not the critic, not the person who points their finger. And I think that's what you have online is, I think not everybody, but a lot of people would really love to get a lot of attention or like have a viral video or know what it's like to be a creator and then create some type of, whether it's literature, music, any form of art, content creation, whatever. They want to be on that side of it. So when they see someone else doing it, it's like subconscious, but they get jealous and they're like, oh, like I could have done the same thing.
Yes,
and I was talking about this. Yeah, and I was talking about this with Chris Williamson on the Modern Wisdom podcast, but it's like the more accessible or the more close you seem, like what you did seems to what someone else could do. Like if they think they could easily do that, the more that it pisses them off and the more emotionally charged they are. So if you're just literally recording a video where you're just talking and then you put a few images above your head, people are like, anybody can do that. So they feel a deeper level of hatred towards you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why I
They're
always challenge people when they're like, you're wrong. This video is fucked up. Like you are so wrong about this. I'm like, make a video and I'll repost it on my Instagram from my audience. Like literally you make a video refuting every single thing that I say and I'll post it. Nobody ever does. Nobody ever does, because it's hard. Okay. And actually you're wrong. And when you say your ideas out of your mouth, you know that they're wrong. But it's easy to just like DM somebody and be like, you're fucking wrong. This is bullshit, whatever. But it is also kind of like we were saying earlier, like the muse, I almost said the views again. The muse visits everybody. And if you don't capitalize on the idea, she will go to somebody else. She will find somebody else who will honor her call for creativity. And so if you're just the one who does it, then other people are going to be like, I had that idea yesterday. What the fuck, man? And it's like, yeah, you didn't honor the muse, bro. Like she left you. She left you in the dust.
The views will visit you outside of a 7-Eleven when you're 20, though. I don't know if anyone's going to get that reference.
I don't know. I just
Views is a brand of like e-cigarettes of like.
Oh, okay, got it. The Views, yeah. Nice.
But very good. The Sopranos. Have you guys watched The Sopranos?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, sure, Pat. You'll know who I'm talking about. Jackie Jr. He starts complaining and he goes, well, I coulda or I woulda. And then his friend goes, but you didn't.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? It's always easy to live in a I could have or I would have world. But even if that's true, which it oftentimes isn't, but you didn't do it, right? It's like you missed your opportunity. You didn't strike. You didn't take the gamble. And so now
fortune favors the bold, man. Fortune favors the bold.
It does. You have to roll the dice, and you can sit. Guys do this all the time, especially like with like their relationships and stuff, where they're like, "Well, yeah, I probably could have ended up, having a relationship with her, but like." I just didn't feel like it, all these kinds of things. And it's like,
I could have gone pro if it wasn't for my bum knee.
Exactly. Yes. I knew a guy in high school. He's like, "Oh, I could have been the team captain if I actually like applied myself." And it's like easy to like sit there and say that, but it's never tested. So it's like even
It's
if that was
also
true,
actually
you failed yourself then.
it's
I
actually
mean,
even like rewarding for the brain to say it, and that's why people do that. They go, "Well, I could have," and they get like a dopamine hit from that. It's
yeah,
almost
cuz
like
yeah,
equivalent to like if you actually did. It's like you're
it's
lying to
I
yourself,
swear
but
people are going to start when AI technology gets advanced enough, people are going to start like making AI versions of their ideal life and like watch
we already
it.
have that. We have the Sims. Like, and
Shoot,
yeah.
we also have people like putting themselves in movies I've seen, like saving the day, and it's like
yeah, that's a
that's
huge
gonna
like
have
Gen X kind of
unintended
boomer thing, but yeah.
consequences on our psychology. I think of like I don't know, technology in that sense is scary, but yeah, that idea of could have and like envisioning yourself without having to take any of the risk is always going to be there, but fortune favors the bold.
Amen, bro.
Curious, do you guys want to jump into some questions? We could also take a little break if you guys wanted to.
So I could use the restroom real quick and also get some
Take a little
water,
break.
some more water.
Cool.
Yeah.
See you guys in a bit.
Yeah.
Are we ready to jump into some questions, gentlemen? We've got a couple.
I do have one question for
Yeah, please go
everyone here. It's yeah, for everyone here. All right, gentlemen, I would like to know what your and actually before I ask, because I know you guys like to romanticize your own life, and I think this is very important to have this for romanticizing your own life. What is your symbolic animal?
I know mine.
You take it away. Take it away.
Mine's a honey badger, because honey badger don't give a shit. Like honey
Dude,
badger
you
just
are
keeps
such
going.
a honey badger. That's crazy.
Yeah, bro.
That's so true.
Honey badger just has the even though it's not a human, it's got the indomitable human spirit, man. It
Yep.
does. It's like you just got to keep going regardless of like anything. Don't care about who's in front of you. You just keep going.
Hell yeah, it's a good one, bro.
Good
I-
answer.
I'm a Leo, and I have a tattoo of a lion on my shoulder, and like the lion I have just always thought is just such a beautiful, majestic animal, and I try to embody traits of the lion, even though I don't feel like a very lioness-esque person myself. But I feel like I'm always striving towards those things. Sort of like the tranquility and the sort of like confidence of a lion. And not like I've always liked the idea that lions kind of just like chill for like most of the day and then just hunt for like 1 or 2 hours and then they're just like chilling again because they're just like so precise and skilled, but they're also very aristocratic in the sense that they're not going to expend their energy on like scavenging, and like I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of the opposite person where I am like constantly trying to like do more, be more productive, and it never really serves me, and it's always kind of when I let go of those things that my life actually gets better, like I get more creative and I actually like the 20% of work yields 80% of the results kind of thing. So I feel like that's an animal that I always try to embody. I always think about like what would a lion do in this situation, and that's usually what I want to do.
Solid.
It's a good one, man.
What about you, Daniel?
I'm gonna say the barn owl.
Nice.
The barn owl, because I follow a lot of accounts that are like barn owl themed. So I have tons of barn owl images, and like it's weird because sometimes they're almost like ridiculous. They're like there's so many like silly things they do where it's like, oh, look at that, like being just a little goofball, right? But then sometimes they're like almost like scary predators. Like, and they have such a surreal kind of visage. It almost looks like a Corinthian helmet sometimes. And there's very like kind of elegant yet off-putting. I've made a whole video about them, but it's like sometimes they're this like supernatural force of nature, and sometimes they're this like screechy little whiny thing on the ground. And it's like I feel like that kind of encapsulates, like, I can be, yeah, sometimes I can be a real goofball, and sometimes I can be almost like cult like. I have such like a weird range of disposition, so I feel like that really kind of covers it. And I also just think they're super cool and look cool and all that kind of stuff. So I'll say the barn owl.
What about you,
Nice.
Pat?
Yeah. A hawk, man, a red-tailed hawk, dude,
Dude,
all the
you
way.
even look like a hawk, kind of.
Thank you, man. I mean, dude, it's just they're such a gritty animal, man, and it's like they're not the favorite, you know, but dude, it beyond characteristics, like their precise hunt, like when they're like locked in on something, they become just like hyper fixated on it to eat, you know. But it's just one of those animals that, you know, I see at very important parts of my life, man. Like it's always been like a sign to me, you know, like ever since I was around 17, 18, when I first started running, I would see like the same hawk every single time I go run at a park. And from that point on, like at very important, like, you know, maybe like I got fired from a job and I saw a hawk, or like literally I was just driving in Virginia. And right before I was like contemplating going to Shenandoah or just going right back to Myrtle Beach. And I chose to go to Shenandoah. And right as I made that decision, I see a hawk in the sky. And I'm like, yep, I'm exactly where I need to be, man. You know, but
Nothing
I've
like a
had that
bird omen.
literally, dude, a good omen, man. But yeah, dude, I mean, across the board here, though, great answers,
We got
guys.
two
Great
birds and
answers.
two mammals. It's
That's tight, man.
nice and balanced.
Nice.
Yeah.
Am I
yeah,
thinking
sorry.
honey badger? Are they the ones that live in sometimes fight lions, or am I thinking of a different
Yes.
animal?
Yes, honey
Okay.
badgers go and
I always
fight
get them-
animals that
Let's
are
get
like
them
10 times their
confused with
size.
wolverines. I always get honey badgers and wolverines confused. Okay,
Yeah.
wolverines are the ones in the snow, right? Do we have any animal experts?
Yeah,
I
I'm
could
pretty
tell you on
sure.
I
the
thought Wolverine
Like,
was the
Honey
what's his
badgers
name?
are more so in hot environments, and they primarily eat snakes. And what's funny is like they have an immunity to most snake venom. So like sometimes they'll get bit by like like what would be lethal to humans, and they sort of like go paralyzed for like a minute or like 30 seconds, and they get back up, and then they just start chewing the snake. Like the snake really can't do shit, and they have the thickest skin in the world. The reason they're called honey badgers because they go after honey. The bees try to sting them, and
They can't get
it
through
does
their fur.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does nothing. So honey badger don't give a shit.
Cool.
Dude, I remember
Powerful.
that video. That was
Yeah,
that was peak internet. That was when YouTube was at its peak.
literally.
If you guys don't know that video, look up honey badger don't give a shit. All right. First question. This one is probably more for me and Dane, but I think it's a good question. Der Corbin asks, "What are the biggest requiring factors for a guest to get on your podcast?" What do you think, Dane? We've kind of talked about this before a little bit amongst ourselves, but
Yeah, it's that. I mean, at this point, you know, Jonas and I obviously are friends, and we trust each other's judgment. If one of us thinks someone's good to bring on the podcast, we trust that it's going to be a good guest.
as far as
There's-
strangers though that you and I have never met.
It's hard to say specifically because there's always some factors, right? Because there's a lot of people who would like to come on, and there's a lot of people we have wish listed to come on. There has to be a unique angle that we can approach things, right? Where they bring a set of content or expertise or
Skills,
knowledge or even just
value.
a different angle than we normally bring, because we like to have a wide breadth of guests. I mean, we've had, you know, for example, we've had Layla, who's a girl interested in the supernatural and horror and that sort of kind of more macabre element of history. And we've had guys like Hexamlight, who is a looks matcher and a streamer. And we've had, you know, Sherpa and Jett. And we've had that evil mindset, who is a very historian sort of element. So we love to have a wide variety of guests, but they always bring something to the table that we don't. So Jonas, you can take it from there, but that would be my info.
I think that you were spot on, Dane. And the only thing that I would add is that all of those people, and I'm not obviously trying to call anybody out if you've ever like DM'd us and been like, bring me on the show. But those people that we've brought on all have a proof of concept of the skills and values that they have like portrayed, whether it's through their content or maybe they've written a book or maybe they've like, whatever it is. They all sort of like have their thing that they've done, that they've proven that they have an amount of value to give in their sort of skill set. And so it's not like we're not going to bring people on if they're not content creators. It's just easier to sort of vet people to be like good guests if we can see that, you have proof of work.
Yes, that could be anything. If you're an athlete, for example, it'd be great to have a competitor. There's that kind of thing. You don't have to. It's not like, oh, you're under X amount of followers. Screw you, peasant.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's the thing is I don't want people to think it is about that. It's just the reason that it's been mostly people who make content is because that's the world that we exist in, and those people have a proof of the work that they've shown that they've done. So, yeah. So next question from Spooky Scary Spencer. He says, did Pat go to Ironclad while he was in Richmond for coffee?
Oh God, bro. I'm getting grilled here. No, I didn't, man. I was in there. I got there late, man. Richmond, Virginia. Like, I probably showed up around like 8 o'clock, 8:30. I just got in time to see the capital of Virginia. By the time I got out and started walking around the blocks, everything was pretty much closed. It was like a Sunday. I ended up and I did scan the scene, man. I hopped on one of those electric scooters for the first time and just started ripping down the streets, dude. But Richmond was really cool. If anyone is passing through, it's really ugly on the outside, like it's like atrocious, like really disgusting brown outside. And then on the inside, it's super charming and it's like really cool. Like everything's like made out of bricks and everything like that. There's some wicked architecture. It's pretty calm. The there's like a canal walk too that's really pretty. Minus a few like there's a couple homeless people on the canal walks. Just watch your back there, but. Richmond's a cool city. I definitely will be back to check it out again, but I did not have the opportunity to hit Ironclad, but I will hit it next time I'm there.
Nice. This next question. I am a big fan of Jett. I am wondering, is his real name Ethan? What is that about?
My middle name is actually Jett. I just go by Jett. But yeah, my first name is Ethan, and I made videos when I was younger under that, but people just call me Jett. So
that's not a dox.
That's not a dox, no. Yeah,
Okay,
cool. I still actually have videos up under that name.
Interesting. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
I think I saw something once where it was like, his real name's Ethan. What a fraud. It's like,
I'm finding
people
out
will
more.
grasp at anything, I swear, and it's like pretend it's some kind of freaking conspiracy. It's like that's just your middle name and what you go by. But
yeah,
they're acting like it's a freaking or like skeletons in your closet or something.
Yeah, like you're running from something.
Yeah.
50% of people think that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I have a criminal record, so I did do a couple crazy things in the past. I didn't want people to go online and say that stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Nate Holtzmeyer, he says, rank these 1 through 3. What's cooler, Gothic tribes, Gothic architecture, or Gothic bands?
You didn't say Gothic women?
Because that would have definitely been number 1, right?
Okay, number 1, goth baddies. Now 2 through 4 for the rest. What do you guys
I'll
think?
put Gothic tribes number 1.
The source of it all.
I think especially because we know less about the Germanic tribes than we do Rome and just that kind of era of history. There's so many fascinating elements of their culture and history that people don't appreciate. So I love getting to learn. I actually just downloaded a bunch of Gothic art, like literally before this episode, of Gothic warriors and
Okay.
tribesmen and tribeswomen, not
like macabre art.
Yeah.
Death reverence. Yeah.
So that number one. Number two, I'll put Gothic architecture. Gothic architecture is freaking impressive itself. I mean, you look at what is the big cathedral that everyone it's
The
is it
Sagrada Familia.
Yeah, and it's just like I've got to see that in person someday. You see the video, and it's just like they built this in the Middle Ages. It's almost unfathomable that people without modern technology could build something so magnificent and awe-inspiring. And I've honestly never really listened to goth music. I don't know almost anything about goth music. If you played me a goth song and an emo song, I probably couldn't tell you which is which.
Nah, that's not true. You would know the difference.
You underestimate my lack of musical knowledge.
Perhaps.
So I will. I'm not saying anything negative against goth music. It's just I've never been interested in the music subgenre personally. But
here's the images
sweet,
of
there we
the
go.
Sagrada Familia. By the way, let me see if I can go back here. Yeah,
Nice.
That's an impressive.
Were you thinking of a
one,
different
too.
one?
I was thinking of, is it it might be the Cologne Cathedral.
Oh, dude!
They always put the song by Rammstein over it. It's like
this guy right here.
Yes, that. Both of those are amazing, but it's just like even just looking at a picture.
Yeah.
This is the kind of divine geometry that it harnesses actual power through frequency channeling. I'm pretty sure that this is what this used to be used for.
And it's just impressive to think guys with chisels on like ropes put that up there and
with horse and buggy.
No cranes. Yeah, with horse and buggy, no freaking cranes. No, yeah. It's mind blowing.
That'll be our next episode. How did they do that?
Aliens.
If I were to rank these three, I would say the same thing. I would go goth tribes, goth architecture, and goth bands. However, I do think that everybody should do a quick Google search and maybe watch a video or two, because I'm sure there's a couple out there, about how Gothic tribes actually, like, the thing about the Gothic tribes and Gothic architecture and Gothic music or Gothic style is they actually have nothing to do with one another, but they are all like derived from each other. So it's like Gothic architecture is not.
I made a video about this.
Did you? Oh, fuck yeah!
It's a very old video. It's very old, but I did make a video
go watch
on
Dane's
how
video.
Gothic tribes led to Gothic architecture, which led to the Gothic genre first of literature. Of literature, and then that led to the music genre and that kind of modern subgenre.
Because if I recall correctly, the Gothic architecture was only named after the Gothic tribes because those were these sort of like regions that those tribes lived in. Even though Gothic architecture is like high medieval or like late medieval, it's not actually like the Goths themselves were not like a distinct people by that time, but they just named them after the Goths because they were in places like Spain and France and places where the Goths used to frequent. Is that right?
It's actually kind of a slur as well because it was coined in the Renaissance.
That's right.
And they were like, kind of in like Spain and France where the Goths went and collapsed the Roman Empire. They're like, oh, these barbarians.
Like barbaric-looking cathedrals.
Because the Renaissance kind of went back to the Greco-Roman style of architecture. So that, it was kind of like a snobbish slur. Even though, as much as I love classical architecture, those cathedrals, I mean, they kind of mog. The
Yeah.
classics. I can't even lie. I love the Parthenon. I love classical architecture, but come on.
No,
The
it's so
Romans
good.
couldn't have built that, you know?
Yeah. And then what? Sorry to. I know this is such a side tangent, but what was that sort of transition from the architecture inspiring the genre of literature?
From there, because a lot of Gothic literature, that kind of dark romance literature, like Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, and Dracula, they were all set in these kind of like creepy, old, decrepit castles, like crumbling ruins and that sort of thing. So since a lot of those cathedrals and castles were like in the Gothic style, it kind of got applied to the genre because a lot of
They
those
just
stories
took
were
place in
set
those
like
Gothic
Frankenstein. Yeah, like Dracula lived in an old creepy castle, and Dr. Frankenstein, I think, was also in a castle. And Edgar Allan Poe, even though he was in America, there's still this kind of like dark, kind of creepy.
There's an essence.
Yeah, and then that's how all the macabre imagery got into the Gothic subgenre. But I don't know basically anything else about the Gothic subgenre or goth subgenre. That's where my expertise started to fail. It's like, yeah, they have like skulls and crosses and stuff in the music. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, it's they're just inspired by that sort of like genre of literature and that kind of like ethos, if you will. And that's like sort of the inspiration behind the music.
There's a really good meme where it's like this Roman general's like, I hired goths.
I love that one.
All these guys are like, where's the Hot Topic? And then below with the Hot Topic manager is like, I thought I hired goths. And all these warriors are like, plunder, kill.
So like in High German.
yeah, whatever freaking dialect. I don't know. Yeah.
They spoke Gothic.
Sorry
trying
for a
to
huge
read.
tangent.
No, that was great. That was super cool. No, that'll be super clippable because we need to be getting better about figuring out what to fucking clip from our podcast. Thoughts on Jay Dyer's? This is from Pay Money Hatam. Thoughts on Jay Dyer's philosophical arguments for God and Eastern Orthodoxy? Are you guys familiar?
Yeah.
Tell us about it, Jett. I'm not super familiar.
I mean, I'm more familiar with his debates, to be honest, because he would go like against feminists or like it's like mainly feminists or liberals. I'm not like super tapped into the theology side of things, but I do know that he is widely like it's the Protestant versus Orthodox versus Catholicism versus that. He's gotten into those debates, but I couldn't like tell you his thesis or like his stance or anything like that. I just know who he is.
Okay. I'm looking him up right now. I've definitely seen his face before, but I can't.
He actually I'm pretty sure he's retired from, I don't know content, but he's retired from debates.
Okay.
Yeah, smart move after a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, let's move on. Next question. Memento Mori-O asks, is the pain of seeing and not having worse than having and losing it? Relationships, etc.
Can you state it one more time?
Is the pain of seeing and not having worse than having and losing? I think that's
Having
kind of
and
obvious.
losing.
Yeah, it's
Having
better
and
to have
losing,
loved and lost than
100%.
to have never loved at all. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't that mean the pain would be greater if you saw but didn't have then? Because I think it would be worse to
The pain is worse of seeing and not having.
and not having. Yeah. Because like yes, it after you get your heart broken or whatever, you're like, oh, that's terrible. But you had the experience of being in love versus
You'll get to carry that with you.
Yeah, versus like you're just sort of looking at. I mean, like Kierkegaard he says, if you get married, you'd wish you hadn't. If you don't get married, you'd wish you did. That's just kind of the condition of that's just the human condition.
Yes.
The way I'm thinking about it is more so in the lens of like, because I've been lifting for like 10 years, and I remember a time where I fell off pretty hard. Like I was like drinking a lot, and I was like looking like the worst I've ever looked. But before that, I was in like really sharp shape, and losing that and the pain of that loss and looking myself in the mirror knowing I didn't have that anymore
good point.
is worse than me being where I'm at right now, looking at so like a Mr. Olympia or someone like with like my dream physique and being like, man, I wish I had that, but I don't have that. But like that pain is way less worse than the pain of like when I went through in the past where it's like I no longer have the physique that I was proud of. You know what I mean?
Yes. I think I'm with you on that actually. I'll say the pain is worse of having something and then losing it, but it is overall, like Jet said, worse to never have something in the first place and only see it.
Absolutely.
I'll kind of agree with that. Talked about this a bit in my Icarus video, where in matters of romance, it sucks to have your heart broken, right? It feels like crashing into the ocean like Icarus and drowning.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
But it's then you think about the ones where you didn't take the chance, and it's worse. It's not more painful, but it's frustrating in a way that is worse, where it's like you still think like, what if I had taken the leap, what could have been. And that is just like, because you can never address that. You can overcome the pain of heartbreak, but it's much harder to overcome.
You're making me rethink my answer now. This is a
Yeah,
really good question.
you're twisting it now, man.
I kind of always approach that, and I'm sure there's other, like, have talked a little bit about fitness. I'm kind of characterizing it from a like a relationship or a romance lens, but there's definitely, when I look back in the past, the ones that hurt the most are the ones where I didn't take the leap of faith, if that makes sense. Even though they weren't as painful in like a visceral sense.
Yeah, it's just the bill of regret is greater.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's much better to gamble, not gamble. I shouldn't say gamble. Don't gamble. To take
FanDuel. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, sponsor for this episode. Surprise sponsorship segment. No,
Yes.
as Pat said earlier, fortune favors the bold. I think it's better to be bold and fail than to wonder, what if I was bold?
Mhm. I would say too, like to add on to that, it's like anytime, like if I see something that I don't have, or like maybe I should have done so, I just chalk it up to fate. Maybe it's cope, or maybe it's written in the stars. But either way, helps me sleep at night. Like I've had plenty of times where I'm like, oh, I should have asked that girl out, or oh, maybe I should have done this a little bit better, or oh, But like where I'm at now, it's like maybe those decisions led me up to where I need to be now. And
You've
if
got to
it
cope
wasn't meant to
that
be, it
way.
wasn't meant to be. Yeah.
I mean,
Otherwise, you'll drive yourself crazy.
people always like say cope is like a negative thing, and it can be, but there are things genuinely, true or not, like you said, it's like you've got to look at it as being directed towards a better life, towards your real purpose, towards your real partner. If you sit there and let regrets eat you up, you're not going to get anywhere. You're forfeiting the rest of your future. So you got to cope. It's cope's not a bad thing in that sense.
No, it's not, man.
We have 4 more questions. 2 quicker ones comes from Ismize Barden. He says, Jet, what advice do you have to somebody that wants to make yapping content?
I think the biggest thing is you're inevitably going to get burned out if you're not passionate about what you're talking about. So you have to find that thing that you just naturally could just yap to your friends about, like completely separate of the internet. So you have to do that because oftentimes people can see the conviction, they can hear the conviction, and so if you want videos to do well, it has to be that. And then man, you have to just be so relentless and just post, 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 especially when you're starting out and when you don't really have that audience built yet. every single video is a lottery ticket and there's almost no risk involved whatsoever. Even if you're at 100K followers, like you can still really just post. Like I was posting 12 to 14 videos a day, any thought that I had. You do that and then eventually, you get enough shots on net and you start to figure out what works, what doesn't. You can lean into that. But yeah, you got to have a natural curiosity and passion for whatever you're talking about.
It's a really good point. One of the best pieces of advice I got from my friend Zach was I remember I was telling him about when I first really started getting some motion on Instagram, and it was because I had done the whole post every single day, multiple times a day, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And I finally had enough data. I was like maybe 7 or 8 months into making content, and I was finally starting to see the style that was working for me. So then I started like hammering that style more, and I started making more of those videos. And then I got to the point where I started noticing which topics were doing better than others. And I almost was convincing myself I need to write more scripts on those topics, even if it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to make videos about. And I remember talking to him on the phone about this, and he was like, don't do that, because now you've just taken something that was supposed to free you from employment and you have become an employee to the algorithm. You have now just become like you're just an employee to the viewership, because it's like you're just creating not for the sake of creating, but because you know it's going to do well for views or it's going to bring you more followers or engagement. You should create whatever you want to create, because that's the entire point, you know? So I think, like you said, the number one thing is don't lose sight of like what you actually are passionate about, what you actually want to talk about. Just because something's going to get more views, just because something is going to go more viral potentially, that doesn't mean that that's what you should talk about. You should do whatever you want to do, and then that's going to cultivate a much more honest and meaningful following.
And also, it's just easier to brainstorm and come up with ideas for content to make.
100%. Yeah. You don't have to do research about things that you don't actually know about.
Yeah.
From Frui Momento, why are mustaches so important historically?
I might be biased on this one. Just a
away.
little bit. But you see facial hair, obviously facial hair changes a lot over the course of history from time, place, and culture. And you do tend to see more quote-unquote barbarian cultures embrace facial hair more. For example, the Celts and Germanics are often depicted with facial hair, especially mustaches, Vercingetorix. And the Romans, for a while, and Greeks considered it a barbaric fashion statement. They like the clean-shaved. But eventually, fashion trends go up and down, right? And then specifically in the New World, you see a lot of Spanish first come with mustaches, and French, and then a lot of American frontiersmen. If you look at miners, gunfighters, pioneers, all of them, all are sporting mustaches. So it is almost, holy shit, that's me.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's
Google
what I was
images.
trying to show you. I just looked up Celtic mustache. This is no joke.
Dude.
I looked up Celtic mustache. This is the fourth result.
Dude, sorry, I gotta take a picture of this. That's actually hilarious.
Isn't it?
The funny thing is, I think in that video, I'm not even talking about the Celts. It looked like I had a screenshot of Teutoburg Forest.
Exploring the
So-
Gallic influence on something.
I don't know what that video
But
was.
this is how most Celtic warriors were depicted with their mustaches. I think it's Julius Caesar in Conquest of Gaul. He talks about how they all have long flowing mustaches.
Yeah, and so I think it can be an expression of vitalism, and we see it in these frontier cultures like the Germanics and Celts, and we see it in the American frontier, and that's why I think it's so important to me personally, because I grew up loving the Old West, the Wild West, My grandfather, who has a more impressive mustache than I do, was a silver miner, and he also went gold mining a little bit in Alaska, so he kind of embraced that frontier spirit, lived in the mountains. It's a real kind of mountain man, American West thing more recently. So for me, it's just kind of tapping into that vitalistic spirit. And a lot, honestly, and I don't mean to sound like a dick, but a lot of guys physically just cannot grow a mustache these days. And you can chalk it up, there's obviously some guys just aren't built for it genetically, but a lot of guys are also living super unhealthy lifestyles with
little sissies, man, a bunch of Kiwis,
low testosterone, all that kind of thing. And it's like, if you can grow this, it's kind of a flex in a way, since
It's
not
a
many
little bit
people
of a
can
sign
or
of
will.
Yeah.
So
I
and now
will
it's just
say
part of my brand.
I've had my mustache, like, it hasn't been this long, but like I've had a mustache since I was 17 years old. And I just turned 27. So it's been 10 years now. I have not seen my upper lip. And I've been getting real curious about seeing it again. So I've been wanting to do like a clean shave. I've been talking to my girl for like a year about how I've been wanting to do a clean shave.
How long do you think it would take you to grow it back?
I know that the answer is about 2.5 months, 3 months. Because remember when I saw you, I shaved this. I had to clean shave my goatee, so we were both just rocking mustaches. This, to get back to this, takes 3 months for me. So I'm sure the mustache length is almost as long as this. So it's about 2.5, 3 months.
And I will also say, I cannot grow anything like Jonas can grow down here. I just cannot do it. I don't have the genetics for it. Whenever I do No Shave November, it just becomes like pube forest here. So it's like you gotta play the cards you're dealt, right? Like I was dealt a great mustache.
That's why the Celts did mustaches only, because they had patchy beards. Did you know that?
Yeah. Is that actually true? Because the Greeks and Romans could actually grow some pretty good beards.
For sure.
And that came in and out of Greek and Roman fashion.
Yeah. I did want to say really quick, though, like I said, I was talking heavily about shaving my mustache recently, and my girlfriend's like, no, don't do it. She kind of likes it, but she's also like, it's just kind of like, it's like your thing, you don't want to lose your thing. And I'm like, people will still like me if I shave my mustache, Like, I was trying to tell myself that, but I don't actually know that. But then literally that same day, we were driving, and I pulled off the freeway, and I was speeding, and I got pulled over by a cop. And he got out, showed me his gun and everything, how fast I was going. I was going like 20 miles over the speed limit. And then he went back, wrote the ticket, and came back. And he was like, so listen, blah, blah, blah. But you got a really cool mustache. I knocked off half the ticket for you. And he gave me the fucking half-price speeding ticket because he said I had a sick mustache. And I was like, this is my sign from the universe that I don't think that I can shave it.
Yeah, man. Sometimes when you get the stash, there's no going
back. There's a little bit of a
status. I mean, you guys both got some facial hair going on too. I think, Pat, I don't know if I've ever seen you with a completely clean-shaven face.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while, because to tell you the truth, I grew it out around the same time as Jonas when I was like 17, 18, because I was trying to sneak into bars and liquor stores and look a little bit older, man.
Same.
So I
got the tattoos at 18 also.
Yeah, like a white beater and stuff, pair of boots. I just grew out this stash, and it stuck to first of all, it worked. So I wasn't getting rid of it. And second of all, I started to like it. And then from there, it just became this thing where I was kind of just known for it. Like, I had the first Christmas where my whole family was like, you got a stash now? And then from there on, it's just, that's it. I am the stash guy. And I have also had that little whisper in my ear, like, guys, just go for it, man. Just see what it would be like. It's like, because there's one idea where it's like, I don't want to spend, I don't want to wait till I'm 50 to go clean shaven and never see, my face full of vitality without the stash, and I still want to see what I look like while I'm young. But when, because the clock don't stop, man. And dude,
Why is this the
That's
hardest
the ball,
decision
man.
in my life right now? Everything else in my life is great. The only thing I can't figure out is when I'm going to shave.
It's reasonable, man.
The scary thing for me is I wouldn't do it. I would only do it once I'm like secure, honestly, in my finances, because I feel like the mustache is an important enough part of the
It's a
brand.
moneymaker, man. It's a moneymaker.
But also because it took me almost a year to grow it to like this extent, and now I've just been maintaining it, you know. And I'm like,
Yeah,
could I really go another
you
year
don't want
of
to go
like
through that.
starting with the freaking dirty Sanchez? And
I don't.
then,
When did you do that though? When did you start growing it out that it took you a year? How long ago?
it was 23, and it got to like a decent length pretty quick, but it was like kind of like the you know, real porn stash for a while, where it was like, it was not. I'll have to find some pictures of like the transition stage, but it's like
I just
kind
can't
of
believe that length takes you a year. I bet you could do that in like 4 months, 3 months.
maybe I'm getting a little confused here. Move
You're
on to the next
confused.
question.
All right.
I'm gonna look at the evolution in my memories.
From regular John, he says, "What philosophical tenets must a good leader adopt to lead men in today's day and age?" It's a very broad question. It's a very kind of just like, you know.
Yeah,
But if you
that's
guys got
vague.
any interesting inputs,
I think the ultimate goal of philosophy is the cultivation of virtue. So you need to have a clear idea of, what virtue is. Like specifically, I think about the works of Aristotle because I think he, out of anyone I can think of off the top of my head, any philosopher, he probably has the best works on virtue. But yeah, it's when you're a leader, you need to be um clear in where you're trying to lead your people. And if you understand virtue at the core, which is where you're trying to bring an entire civilization, I think that's super important. And so, yeah, and then to some degree, even though it might seem a little bit corny or cringy, stoicism in the fact that like you just really need to dial in on um focusing on what you can control and not letting your emotions get out of whack, especially when you are making decisions of consequence. I think those things are important, and the rest will just be entirely dependent upon the cultural, societal, and philosophical landscape of the time, because I think that changes.
yeah.
So it's kind of hard to say like something that would be universal to all leaders, but yeah.
The stoicism point is really interesting because I myself am not a fan of stoicism, but I completely agree with you that I think people who are in positions of power should express some level of stoicism, because the entire purpose of stoicism is to lead a life of equanimity, of like no excess but no. It's the opposite of excess. My brain farting on the word right now. But just like it's the mentality of slaves and emperors. It's not for the everyman. It's not for the heroic man, but it's for like the leader, the emperor. Because you do kind of need somebody to have a level temperament and be able to sort of quell their appetites in a sense. Because a man who has the potential to have everything needs to be able to control that. Stoicism is probably a good way to do that. So I would actually agree with you there.
I also think a lot of like philosophical viewpoints are just really hyper specific to an individual. So see, it's kind of hard to like explain like for a leader.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
like,
it's
what do
what
you
are
need as a person?
exactly? Yeah, so it's hard to think of it from the standpoint of someone who has influence over a large group of people.
Um, we have one more question. This one is from Isaiah Sarah. He says, "What can we do on an individual level to prevent us from falling into the mouse utopia conditions?"
Mm.
Take it away, Dane. I see that smile.
I I didn't necessarily have a good answer yet, but I'll take it away anyway. I just think it's kind of funny since we touch on it so much with looks maxing and all this kind of stuff. And it's very hard because when you live in mouse utopia, you can't just like fake being not in Mouse Utopia, right? It's
Yeah.
like you need that wilderness, you need that stimuli, you need that frontier, and let's face it, we just don't have it. You can only do the best that you can to one, recognize the utopia you're in, and two, try to do the best to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, to push your mind and body.
Go to Kyrgyzstan.
Yes. Yeah, that is I mean, honestly, like, among many other reasons, part of the
That's
reason
why I'm doing it too. Yeah.
It's like, I still, as much as I love talking about history and all this stuff, it's like I do still live a comfortable modern life with modern amenities. And it's like now I have a chance to go slock it on horseback with no modern amenities, no internet, literally nothing but what we
not
bring.
even clean water.
Yeah, not even clean water. I have a chance to live like that for a while. And it's like, I could just sit and not take it and live, like, continue living completely vicariously through history, or it's like I can go fucking embrace the suck and
Have some
and
fun.
yeah. So I think you just have to take those opportunities. That's why, again, I think, Jonas, you're right, bringing up martial arts earlier. And that's where martial arts kind of surpasses the gym, in my opinion, where it's like, it's not just making your body look better, but you are learning a discipline that allows you to better utilize violence and defend yourself against violence. And sometimes fucking sucks when you get your face pounded in practice, and get your ass kicked. That's like, in the gym.
It's reality.
We're
so detached from reality and everything else.
There is no set in the gym. I don't care how hard you go, that will hurt like a wrestling practice hurts. There's just nothing. If you're going that hard in the gym, you're probably hurting yourself, like injuring yourself, which obviously you don't want to do. But nothing. All these gym bros that are like, it's so tough, going outdoors, all that kind of thing. It's hard. We do live in Mouse Utopia, and there's only so much you can do to escape, right?
Yes.
So.
Did you guys have any other thoughts on that?
Jett, do you have anything?
Well, I would just say it's gonna boil down to agency, which kind of sums up everything. But I think you have to find one thing that you deeply care about, and if you actually pursue that thing, like viciously pursue it, and that is your purpose, that is your goal, you'll find that the world sort of bends to your will, and like
Yep.
things just start to align in place. But the problem is 99% of people, especially given the endless distractions or choices that you can make in the modern age, like they don't really commit to any one thing. And so it's, have you even given 6 months of like showing up every day to one thing? Like the vast majority of people, especially in Gen Z and in the future generations, the answer to that question is no. So if you actually commit yourself to one thing and have the intention of getting better and just using your agency, I think that's how you break out of it. I think that's how you're going to get the girl that you want, the career that you want, and make the ultimately have the impact that you want.
I could not have said it better myself, and I think that is the absolute best note for us to wrap on. This has been an awesome conversation, you guys, and we had some really awesome questions as well. And also, Jett, thanks for bringing your own questions. That was fun. We should have done more of that. We should have planned this a little bit better, but we kind of we kind of just fly by the seat of our pants. But really quickly, I know that you guys can't talk about what Odyssey you have coming up, but go ahead and just like give everybody a shout where they can follow you guys and what you guys are excited about that you have coming up.
Yeah. I'll start off. So you can find me Muscle My Mile on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. I got a 100-mile ultra marathon on October 10th in
Let's go.
Virginia. All right. So we're going out there, going for glory. We're gonna push ourselves, and in between then, I'm gonna be laying a little low. I'm just gonna be training a lot. But after that, it's gonna be a lot of kicking rocks, just getting back in my car and going across America, going on a Highwayman American Odyssey. So
I love it. I love the Highwayman, bro.
Yes.
And then, yeah, for me, all my social media, it's Jett Franzen. I literally just started Substack, so I'm like really excited about that. So if anybody has been following me for a while and you want to see more like written long form stuff, that's going to be on there. And then as for what I have going up or coming up, I am going on 2 podcasts. I can't announce those podcasts yet. They're sort of bigger, more professional production podcasts. So
What are you
that's going
saying
to be
about us,
cool.
bro?
I'm just kidding.
They're not as hey, I'll give you guys this. They're not as cool as you guys. They don't have the mustache, They don't look like they're gonna do anything nefarious. So, um, yeah, and then like we talked about, I'm planning on traveling a lot. So I also a big thing I'm trying to do is collaborate with other creators like in person. So, planning on hitting the road, just me and my car, just going around. I'm super excited. And also, thank you guys for having me on. I love this podcast, so it's awesome to come back.
Dude, it's such a pleasure. It's so cool to be able to have you and Pat back on again, recurring guests and together. This was so much fun. It is genuinely like getting to bring our like group phone calls to life for everybody
For
else
real.
to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you guys so much for coming back on. It's been an absolute blast. If you guys are watching on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, like this video, and if you're listening on Spotify, follow us, and also check out the Sea People Summer merch. And we are going to be having some more merch coming out soon once Dane and I have returned from the Eurasian steppe. But until then, continue to follow your guys' dreams, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.
Awesome.